Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to look at a free and easy way to clone your Windows system to an external drive. Now previously we've looked at how to use Almay Backuper and specifically the paid version of Almay Backuper to do the cloning. But the problem with that is, well, of course you gotta spend money for that, which is exactly the kind of thing we're trying to avoid today. Now before we start, full disclaimer, this method, this workaround is kind of complicated compared to the press clone and it takes care of the rest kind of thing we looked at in the Almay Backuper video. Plus, this workaround is not going to work on something such as Almay Backuper, which locks the cloning feature entirely out of its free version. Instead, we're going to be exploiting a workaround on Mating Tool Shadowmaker, which bans cloning of the current system but allows cloning of other disks from the current system. So maybe you can see what I'm trying to get at here, but without further revealing the process, let's just jump in and show you guys how to do it. For today's demonstration, we're gonna use Mini Tools Shadowmaker. So you can see that I have Shadowmaker installed here. Let's open it up. And in the tools section, we can see that it does support cloning the disk. The problem is, unsurprisingly rather, once we select disk 1 as our source disk and disk 2 as our destination, and we click start on that, we're gonna see that a window pops up to demand payment. But since we're not gonna do that, let's just move ahead with the workaround. As I might have accidentally revealed earlier, we're going to be using a new system for this workaround. Now for the sake of time, I've already created a new system inside VM209 here. For those of you that don't have a spare system lying around, just, feel free to install a new one. If you're on Proxmox, great. If you're on bare metal, don't fret either. You can just easily install another one to another disk and boot up from that. Note, however, the system that we're booting up, the auxiliary system, has to have access to the boot disk, to the OS drive of the to-be cloned system. So, in order to proceed with the workaround, we'll have to actually move the disk from VM209 to VM205's environment. And if you want to find out how to do that on Proxmox, follow the link popping up right there to go watch that video. But in the meantime, let me talk through some of the points that differentiate the system that we are booting up, or the auxiliary system, from the system we are going to be cloning. First, if we look at about this PC, we can see that this auxiliary system is running Windows 11 Home, whereas, as you guys will see later, the other system was running Windows 11 Professional. And second, if we look down here at the taskbar, in the corner here we can see that Microsoft Teams is actually one of the icons, one of the processes that's running. While in the main system, Microsoft Teams has been uninstalled, so it will not appear on the taskbar in that one. And third, if we look in the center of the taskbar, not only will the sequence of icons be different, the main system will have two additional icons in the taskbar over here: Task Manager and Settings. And lastly, if we look at the desktop, we can see some shortcuts, two shortcuts on the desktop of the auxiliary system. Whereas back in the main system, I've moved every single shortcut on the desktop to the recycle bin. Alright, with that out of the way, let's now boot up Proxmox into the system that's now moved to VM205. If you guys want to see how to move one disk from one VM to another VM, click on the banner up top to go watch that video. But if not, stay here and we'll be on OS shortly. Alright, now we are booted up in our second system. Oh, whoops. You can see that the desktop icons are here. The taskbar is still missing some stuff. And, well, Windows Defender didn't boot up yet. There we go. And Teams is here. So we are sure that we are on the second system. That's the Windows 11 Home system. So, we're gonna launch a Shadowmaker. Alright. And we're going to go down to tools, still the same clone disk feature, but this time we're going to want to select the disk with the drive letter D instead of the drive letter C. So we know that the current system, the Windows 11 home one, this one, is booted up from disk 2 instead of disk 1. So our disk 1 is the one that we want to clone. Alright, so if we press next and select our source disk as disk 1 and select disk 3, which is, well, my external drive, as our destination disk, and we click start, this time you will see that instead of asking us to pay, Shadowmaker doesn't detect that our current system is booted off of disk 1. Thus, it is okay for us to clone disk 1. And honestly, that's the simplicity of the workaround. You just have to boot from another OS. Okay, now that it's completed successfully, let's boot up the other system on my external drive and see how it is indeed that original system instead of the system that's currently booted up. In this dialog window here, the button you click doesn't really matter. If you got stuff to do on your current system, on this system, still click cancel, but for today's purposes, we're gonna click OK. And now let's proceed to boot up from the external disk that we just cloned to. Okay, now upon clicking start, we're gonna click into F2, the boot menu, or the BIOS menu, I guess. And in boot manager, we're gonna select our USB device that we just cloned to. So previously, there was no USB device to boot from in this menu, right? Because it didn't recognize the USB as being bootable. But now we have a USB device, so that's good news. We're gonna hit enter and boot from that. We're just gonna do a quick reset, and when this boots up, just do the same, hit into the boot menu and boot from our USB device. Alright, this time it's happy, I guess. Okay, but the point is, you now can see that it's successfully cloned and it booted up from the external drive successfully. And now in this system, we can immediately see that it's the old system. It's the system we intended to clone. So down here, down at the taskbar, you've got two additional icons, one task manager, one settings. And over here, you can see that there's no Microsoft Teams because I've removed it from this system. And over here in the recycle bin, we can see, well, two shortcuts that I said I deleted. And over here in settings, whoops, settings ain't too happy. Luckily, the problem turned out to have nothing to do with the cloning process. The settings app was just broken on the original system. Okay, well, that didn't work. Let's go into run and let's do winver, which stands for, well, Windows version. Hit OK, and now we can see that it's not Windows 11 Home, it's actually Windows 11 Pro, which corresponds to the drive, the system that I have on my original drive, on the drive that we initially booted up from. Alright, with our system successfully cloned, this video is effectively over. Thank you guys for watching, and thanks to Minitool for sponsoring it. If you found it helpful, please be sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell to not miss a future episode. Also, consider sending a super thanks to help support the channel. But that's it for now. See you guys in the next one.